Do I need to press this button? I do. Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Ben Dowling. I'm the Cabinet Member for Culture, Leisure and Economic Development at Portsmouth City Council, and this is one of our decision meetings with a variety of exciting things on the agenda. Do we have any deputations today? No, there are no deputations from the public, so we'll move swiftly on. Just for those watching, if you're interested, everyone present in the building has taken a lateral flow test within the last 48 hours, and anyone who who has tested positive is presumably not here. If anyone gets up and runs out, I don't know why. Fire alarm sounds, please go outside to the Queen Victoria statue as per usual. A reminder that we are live streaming on the internet, and therefore that's something to be aware of. Let me mute my laptop, there we go. Any questions? We all happy to go? We all fine? Wonderful. Declarations of interest. Any members? Nothing to declare. We're moving fast through the agenda. This is positive. I've just realised we're meant to do introductions, aren't we? So we'll whiz round. Claire, do you want to start?
I'm Councillor Claire UD, and I'm Group Spokesperson for the Portsmouth Progressive People Group.
Sorry, let's go this way along the bench.
Jane Mee, Museums and Visitor Services Manager.
I'm Felicity Wood. I'm the Public Participation Officer at the D-Day Story Museum.
Michael Gunson, Senior Archivist with the Library and Archive Service.
Claire Forsyth, Service Development Manager for Libraries and Archive Services.
Linda Symes, Group Spokesman for the Conservative Party.
Anna Martin, Democratic Services.
Wonderful, thank you everyone. So that takes us to our first item, Museum and Visitor Service charges. Who would like to do charges? Jane?
Thank you. So this report updates the fees and charges for Portsmouth Museums and Visitor Services. The motivation really is to update the venue hire charges for weddings, as these are booked several years in advance. The last time we had a review of our charges was in 2018, and the current fees and charges run until 2021. So the new charges for wedding hire cover the period April 2022 to March 2025, and this is because weddings are booked well in advance, so we need to have our charges running for a longer period for the weddings. The D-Day Story fees and charges are not included in this report. So we did some benchmarking with other providers to make sure that we sat neatly within the range of charges being applied in the city. But the main thing is that in discussion with our colleagues in finance, the increases have been calculated on the basis of inflation, so it's 2% across the board with practical roundings up or down, I suppose. And hopefully the level of the charges is pitched to ensure that the castle in particular is fully booked for weddings and that we're not losing business, but sort of pitched competitively. The only other thing that's new this time round is that we've included a modest charge to cover an admin charge for cases where the situation changes, so the booking deposit is returned because there's something changed in terms of the wedding and how and when the wedding is going to take place, and it's just to cover our costs really. The charges are all given as an appendix at the rear of the report, at the end of the report. That's me, thank you.
Sorry, thank you. No particular comments from me. It's an inflationary increase. I think we actually provide very good value for local people who want to use the spaces. I don't, having looked at a number of wedding venues in the last couple of years, I can assure you that we are not expensive, and I think that's a positive thing for the people of the city. Claire, Linda. Oh, there's a pause there. Yeah, Councillor Udy.
I'm probably reading this completely wrong. For a charge for a ceremony booking, no, I'm probably just reading it really awfully wrong. Where it says about ceremony bookings after 5 p.m. any time November to February in Southsea Castle being whatever charge it is, around £130. Is that in any part of the castle, or is that an admin fee that's charged for it being off? So that's how much it costs to get married after 5 o'clock between November and February?
I presume we don't have many takers.
It's just cool getting married in the castle, though, and I think that's a pretty cool deal, isn't it? You can have well, maybe just after Halloween, a slightly spooky wedding. So, but I was just rereading that, just making sure that charge was right. But yeah, obviously it's reasonable prices increases. I've been to a few weddings at the castle. It's lovely.
Okay, looking at this, I think that's the additional staff charge. It's not the core charge out rate. So I think you were right the first time round. So take the keep as an example. In the evening, it's £2,290, but because that's outside of normal castle hours, we charge the extra 130.
Okay, that's still pretty good for what's it? Okay, I can see it at the top now.
Yeah, still affordable for a wedding venue.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're all happy. Thank you. Approved as per the recommendations. Portsmouth History Centre Development Strategy.
Thank you. The development strategy looks at three main areas of activity. We're very aware that our collections don't represent all the communities of Portsmouth, and equally that our users, including the volunteers, in their age and social profile, do not reflect the age range and social profile in the city. And so to try and address this, we want to reach out to communities we've not been in contact with before, as a way of broadening out our user base and equally broadening out the range of the collection so that they more fully reflect the city as it is, the communities as they are. This in and of itself will make us more outward facing. We already are out in the community, we give talks, we have groups in, so it's broadening something we're already doing, but with a slightly different focus. The other area is that, particularly, we knew this already, but the pandemic has brought it home that we have a global audience for our services, and it's another audience. The people in Portsmouth who can't come into us, the people further afield who have an interest, and archive services have discovered this around the country, that they've discovered this user base they didn't know they had, that given the opportunity to participate and be involved, there they are. And so, yeah, we need to develop that. And I'll be very clear, this isn't a one-off thing, it's a journey. And as one step will lead to another. And so the action plan sets out at least where we think it will go over the next 3 years with some targets as well. So to keep us focused. It's a reorientation of what we do, really.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Councillors? Nothing from Councillor Sines. Councillor Udy? We're okay. So as a keen as a history graduate, in fact, history isn't just for us to keep in a cupboard, it's for us to engage with as society and to enable and encourage the public and ordinary people to engage in that history. So, and I think the fact that that's what we're focusing on is a real positive, and I think that the action plan really enables that going forward. So thank you very much, and therefore approved as per the recommendations on the paper. We are storming through today's agenda. Portsmouth Book Fest.
Thank you. This report reflects on the success of the last Book Fest, which actually celebrated our 10th anniversary, been running Portsmouth Book Fest for 10 years. And of course, it was the first time we delivered the festival completely online due to the pandemic. It's fair to say it was a success. Lots of people engaged with events online. And therefore, I make a recommendation that the festival continues to offer some online events alongside our more traditional in-person events. So we plan to go back to in-person in 2022, all being well, but also offer some online events alongside those. The reason for that is that we did find that some people who wouldn't normally be able to access in-person events found that they could online. So we'd like to be able to continue to offer people that service. Also recommend that some library assistant staff time is put into supporting the service development manager to expand the publicity of the festival, and its social media presence has become such a big element of the festival in recent years, and also to assist with the administration of ticket sales, which again has become a really big element of managing the festival. And then finally, that the festival aims to present a diverse programme of events each year to reach new audiences. That's something we're continually working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Members? Yeah, Councillor Symes.
Just to say how great it was in such difficult circumstances that Claire pulled the Bookfest off online. She worked extremely hard and she deserves congratulations from all of us, I think.
Thank
Well
you.
done, Claire.
Thank you. Yes, I'd absolutely echo that. Incredible work.
Thank you.
And actually, generally across the service, a lot of work impressive work was achieved over the last 18 months. So thank you for that. Councillor Udy?
Just to say, Bookfest every year always is wonderful, and thank you for bringing in something that will make it more accessible to people. I know that over COVID, what I noticed is that National Theatre put a lot of their shows online for free, and it just introduced theatre to a whole generation of people that maybe might not have been able to access it, probably through monetary means or any other things. And the Bookfest moving some events partially online would mean that more people can get involved, and I think that's really good for getting accessibility, good stuff. But thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I think a resounding yes to the work there, and Councillor, you used the right word. It is about accessibility, and the traditional Bookfest programme hopefully will be back next year. But actually, the way we can enhance that using digital technology, etc., can only be a positive. So the more engagement we have, there's a bit of a theme running through today's meeting, isn't there, around engagement and bringing things to people, which is really good to see. Okay, wonderful. Recommendations approved. Thank you. And that takes us to City of Stories.
Which is also
I was going to say also you. Yeah, thank you.
So this is an information report to update everyone on the success of the 3-year Arts Council England funded City of Stories project, which took place in the Library and Archives Service. At the end of 2017, the Library and Archives Service, with the Conan Doyle collection team, applied for Arts Council England funding for what then was a large-scale 2-year project that would centre on engaging local people with the Portsmouth Archive collection and the stories within it, including the famous Arthur Conan Doyle collection. So a big focus was on working with local partners and groups to reach hard-to-reach audiences and highlight the work of local artists. So we were delighted when we were awarded the funding, and that enabled an extensive programme of activity and events over the period. It became a 3-year project, again because of the pandemic. We extended the project out a bit. There was lots of activity around the Conan Doyle collection, including 2 Summer of Sherlock festivals, a comic book version of A Study in Scarlet, which was the Sherlock Holmes story created in Southsea, was made to make Study in Scarlet more accessible to younger children. We had some beautiful textile cubes created by Splodge Designs as part of a community project to help to depict clues, scenery, themes and characters from the Doyle stories. And we even had a dancer in residence who worked with local young carers to create a dance piece about Doyle's residency in Southsea, which became a film as well at the end of the project. We also worked extensively to encourage people to engage with the more general City Archive collection. We had a poet in residence who worked with young people in Buckland and Paulsgrove to write songs and poetry about some of the World War II images we had in the collection. We had, she also worked with adults to write poetry based on some of the collections they found in the archive working closely with Michael to find interesting archives that would inspire them. Had an artist in residence, a writer, Nazneen Ahmed, who worked with the local Chat Over Chai group to help them explore the concept of their own local archives and their own histories. And a number of exhibitions were displayed throughout the 3 years of the project in different libraries, showcasing the history of those areas. There was lots of children and family activity where we brought alive some of the archives for children with a special local storyteller. There was activity for writers, so we've started a writing group as a result of this project. And then the last element became a celebration film, an event, because it wasn't possible to hold a large-scale event because of the pandemic. We actually had a film created by a local filmmaker to showcase all the key achievements of the project, and that's actually turned into a really nice thing that we can use to promote what libraries and archives do, and indeed help us secure funding in the future, hopefully. And as part of the legacy, as I mentioned, we have a writing support group now. The History Centre team have learned new skills in putting together exhibitions and developing their outreach. Good links have been made with community groups and youth centres. Library and archive staff have completed filming for social media training and have gained new skills in hosting events online. And then both myself and the Conan Doyle officer, Laura Weston, we managed the project together, we've developed extensive new skills in budget management, large-scale project management, evaluation, and working with community artists and performers. And Laura, happily, has already successfully led a bid for a new Arts Council England-funded Doyle project, which is just beginning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another really positive, I'm loving the good news stories in today's meeting, and actually, whilst there's no kind of decision to be made, I think it's important that when we have these kind of projects that we do then report back to them in a very public way, so I think that's really helpful to do that in these meetings. Members? Yeah, Councillor Udy.
Thank you for this. It sounds like it was a really wonderful project. I really wish I could just be engaged with it all. Mostly I've been so busy, and writing's one of my passions as well, and I really hope that maybe after I finish being a councillor, I'd actually have more spare time to actually become so much more involved with these projects as a participant rather than more as a councillor, really. So thank you. And also just a note, Ben, Culture and Leisure is quite a happy cabinet. we normally have quite a lot of happy things. Maybe when we shut the pyramids, that was a bit sad. But other than that, it's all been really nice in Culture and Leisure.
Thank you, Councillor Udy. Of course, I absolutely embody happiness as part of the portfolio. And of course, we haven't closed the pyramids, we simply repurposed it with a very, very successful large-scale indoor play.
I went in.
And you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I loved it. It's really knackering if you're a grown-up, but I can see why the kids love it. It is great, and I got to use the trampolines and jump off things. It was great.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, really positive reports, and really good to see, and keep up the positive work. And I think we have one more item along a very similar vein in terms of positive good news reflecting on the project. Felicity?
Thank you. This is an information-only report to update on a project to transform the D-Day Story Museum's social media strategy and how we were using social media. So the aim of the project was to build staff and volunteers' confidence in creating social media content, making sure that what we were creating was consistent with the museum's brand, and also making sure that we're creating content that appeals to families, young people, visitors with disabilities, our target audiences at the museum. As you know, as I'm sure you're aware, the museum's undergone a lot of changes since 2018, funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, including Landing Craft Tank arriving last year. But what we realised was that what we were putting out on social media didn't necessarily match this wonderful new kind of bold cosmopolitan brand that we had. So we hired a social media consultant, actually an ethical social media strategist called Tara Matry, and she's very passionate about creating online content that also encourages people's kind of positive health and well-being, so kind of having that slant on it. And what was really positive about the project is that we worked across departments, so corporate communications came to we had a series of kind of strategy and training meetings, corporate communications came to those. I shared the findings of the project with colleagues in libraries. We also have staff and volunteers that would not have been confident creating content before, and now creating things, posts, contributing to like the posts that we're scheduling. So we've got a French member of our front of house team who's writing posts in French for us about objects that we have in the museum collection. And a particular success was the Instagram audience. We've really built our following on Instagram, and the audience is younger, there's more of a gender balance. We're really kind of focusing on attracting new audiences, and that seems to be paying off as a result of the project. We also have a clear strategy that we can follow, and just generally we're kind of more confident about we're spending time putting out content we know that we know works. We're not spending time doing things that don't really work properly, and ultimately it's about keeping the story of D-Day alive for the future generations. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Felicity. Members?
No, thanks.
No, again, I think just general nodding of appreciation and thank you for the work. And actually, I think the personal stories in particular have been really, really positive. And I think that engaging on a more personal level where, I don't know, average teenager in Portsmouth can learn about someone their age and the impact they had and what their role was, and et cetera, is better than what we were doing before, and really good to see. Okay, wonderful. So I think I'm supposed to be noting it, so consider it noted. And I think that's end of meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I'll do that thing that newsreaders do whilst we turn off the live stream. There we go.
It's a very rare chair.
It is. It's a Lord Mayor's chair.
Was it uncomfortable?